The sky above Varnik 3 was calm. Blue clouds moved slowly. The trees swayed gently in the wind. Children laughed in the parks. Shops were open. It was a normal day. Then the warning sirens screamed. People stopped. Eyes turned toward the sky. Huge, black shapes appeared above the clouds warships. Not one, not two, but dozens. They didn't carry flags. They sent no messages. They simply hovered, silent and cold. Governor Talek stood at the command center, watching the radar screen. His voice was low and tense. "Send the signal now." A technician pressed the button. A red light blinked. The emergency beacon went, "Live. This is Varnik 3. We are under attack. We need reinforcements. Please, someone respond." They waited 10 minutes, nothing, 30 minutes. Still silence. People began to panic. Military forces tried to organize defenses, but their weapons were old. Varnik 3 had been peaceful for decades. They weren't ready for war. Finally, the communication screen flickered. A message arrived. One word, acknowledged. Talek frowned. Who sent that? The technician's voice shook. Earth. Humans. Talek felt a mix of relief and confusion. He had heard stories about humans, Deathworlders, warriors from a planet filled with fire, poison, and predators. Dangerous people, survivors. Still, he had no choice. "Good," he said. "We need all the help we can get." The enemy warships began to descend. Dropships landed outside the capital city. Tall, insect-like soldiers came out, armed with plasma rifles. The sky turned dark with smoke. Civilians screamed. Buildings were hit. The Varnak soldiers fought, but they were pushed back quickly. Then something strange happened. The enemy stopped advancing. A new sound filled the air. A low, heavy roar, like thunder. Talek ran to the window. In the distance, he saw fireballs streaking across the sky. They weren't enemy missiles. They were Earth's dropships, black, heavy, armored. They landed hard like hammers, slamming into the ground. The ramps dropped, and humans walked out. But they didn't look like normal soldiers. They wore thick, scarred armor. Their eyes were hidden behind dark visors. Their weapons were massive. Each of them moved with perfect control, calm, silent. The people of Varnik 3 watched from rooftops and screens. They had called for help. And this is what came. One of the alien commanders whispered, "They sent Deathworlders." The first human stepped forward. Her name was Vega, and charged forward. The humans didn't move. Vega lowered her hand. Then, chaos. The human line exploded into action, fast, brutal, deadly. One by one, the enemies fell. Not wounded, not injured, dead. Varnik soldiers watched in shock. The humans didn't use shields. They didn't retreat. They pushed forward like machines. Some were hit, but they didn't stop. They kept moving, kept firing. In the city, a young Varnak girl hid behind a wall. An insect soldier raised its weapon toward her. She screamed. A human soldier jumped between them. He didn't hesitate. His blade flashed once. The enemy dropped. The girl stared up. "Thank you." The human didn't speak, just nodded and moved on. Talek received the first battlefield report. He read it twice. They single quotes, winning. The officer nodded slowly. Yes, they are cutting through the enemy. And they don't stop, they don't sleep, they don't even talk. Talek looked at the map. What kind of people are these? The humans didn't ask for food. They didn't ask for rest. They set up outposts, watched the skies, and prepared for the next wave. That night, Talek tried to speak with Vega. He walked up to her as she cleaned her weapon. "Commander Vega." She looked up. Her face was pale and cold. "Yes, Thank you for coming, but why are your people so silent, so brutal?" She stared at him for a moment. Then she said, "Because we're not here to play war." Talek blinked. "What do you mean?" "We are from a world where fire burns the sky," she said. "Where the oceans try to drown you. Where animals hunt you even when you sleep. We don't train for war. We are born in it." Talek felt a chill. I see Vega stood. "You asked for help, but you didn't ask who would answer." The next day, the enemy launched a surprise attack at dawn. They came from underground tunnels, expecting fear and confusion. Instead, they found the humans waiting. Booby traps, drones, snipers. It was not a battle. It was a message. You will not take this planet. Talek stood before the people of Varnik 3 that evening. The enemy came for our world, but what they found were Deathworlders, and they are not losing. The crowd cheered, but something darker stirred beneath the surface. Some Varnak leaders began to worry. The humans were too powerful, too emotionless. What if they stayed forever? One elder said, "We were saved by monsters. What if they become our new rulers?" Another replied, "Would you rather be ruled or dead?" That night, Vega stood, alone on a rooftop, watching the stars. Another soldier joined her. "Tomorrow, we finish it." She nodded. "Yes." "Do you think they understand us?" the soldier asked. Vega's voice was quiet. "No, but they will remember us." In the final battle, the humans led the charge into the enemy's main base. Explosions lit up the sky. The ground shook. The Varnak soldiers followed behind, terrified but inspired. Inside the enemy command room, the alien general stood trembling. "Who are these humans?" he whispered. A human soldier kicked the door open. "Their death," the alien said, and dropped his weapon. When it was over, silence returned to Varnik 3. The enemy ships were gone. The skies were clear. People cheered in the streets. Children waved human flags. Flowers were placed at the feet of the Deathworlders. Talek met Vega one last time. "Your people saved us," he said, "but I hope we never need you again." She gave him a small smile. "You won't. We only come when it's too late for anyone else." Then the humans left. Their ships rose into the sky and disappeared among the stars. Peace returned, but something had changed. That the galaxy had heard Varnik's cry for help, and it had seen Earth's answer. From that day forward, when someone whispered the word Deathworlders, even the bravest warriors paused, because they knew, if you ever saw them coming, it was already too late. Smoke still drifted over the broken streets of Varnik 3. Buildings were half ruined. The air carried the scent of ash and plasma, but for the first time in days, there was quiet. The people of Varnik 3 believed the worst was over. They were wrong. At sunrise, motion sensors in the western mountains started blinking. Unknown objects were moving fast, too fast for animals, too smooth for falling rocks. Governor Talek stared at the holographic map. "Are those more enemy units?" The technician nodded. "Yes, sir. Dropships. Big ones. 10, maybe more. They're landing near Sector 9. Talek's face went pale. "That sector is unguarded." He sent an urgent message to the humans. Within minutes, a reply came. Vega's voice was calm. "We'll go." No hesitation. No questions. 6 humans moved out. Walking into the dust-covered ruins of Sector 9, they didn't wear bright colors or fly banners. Their armor was black, scarred, and silent. They carried weapons longer than their arms and heavier than Varnak. Missile launchers. Behind them followed 3 curious Varnak soldiers. "You don't want to go with them," another alien warned. "It's not safe," but they went anyway. The deeper they walked, the quieter it got. No birds, no wind, just the sound of boots on cracked stone. Suddenly, the lead human, a tall man named Riker, raised his hand. Riker said. His voice was low, cold, and clear. They crouched behind a broken wall. In the distance, shadows moved. Insect-like warriors, at least 30 of them, crept across the ruins. One Varnik soldier whispered, "There are too many. We need to fall back." Vega didn't move. "No, this is the encounter we've been waiting for." She pulled a small device from her belt and pressed it. Nothing happened, at least. That's what it looked like. But suddenly, the ground beneath the enemy exploded. Screams echoed. Smoke shot into the air. Hidden mines placed by the humans the night before the enemy could regroup, the humans stood and opened fire. The noise was deafening, sharp, powerful, and terrifying. Human weapons tore through enemy armor like it was paper. The Varnak soldiers watching from behind had never seen such precision. The humans didn't fire wildly. Every shot hit a target. Every step forward was calculated. Then something strange happened. The enemy didn't retreat. They sent a second wave. Riker smiled. Good. I was starting to get bored. Suddenly, enemy forces came from both sides in ambush. Fall back. One of the Varnak soldiers shouted no. Vega replied. Push forward. And that's what they did. The humans charged straight into the thick of it. Varnak soldiers expected them to fall. Instead, the humans moved faster, hitting harder. They fought like they had trained for this moment all their lives. One human rolled under enemy fire, came up behind a squad, and dropped them with just a knife. A knife. The aliens watching could barely breathe. They're not soldiers, one Varnak whispered. They're something else. The battle ended in minutes. Dead enemies covered the street. Human soldiers walked through the smoke, checking for survivors. Not a single one escaped. Vega walked over to the Varnak soldiers. Her armor was burned. Her blade was red. First contact is done, she said. Report to Talik. One Varnak soldier found his voice. You knew they were coming. We guessed, she replied. Deathworlders don't wait. We prepare. Back at the capital, Talik listened as the soldiers described what they saw. No fear, one of them said. They didn't panic. They didn't run, even when surrounded. Talik turned to his advisors. Do you understand now? These humans are not like us. They don't react to fear the way we do. An old scientist stepped forward. That's what makes them Deathworlders. They come from a planet that forces them to be strong every day. Stared at the screen. It showed Vega standing silently among ruins. We called for help, he whispered, but we were sent the galaxy's deadliest survivors. That night, the people of Varnak 3 gathered around their screens. Word had spread. People wanted to see the humans, these strange protectors from a brutal planet. A video played. Footage from drones showed the battle, the trap, the ambush, the counterattack. Children watched with wide eyes. Soldiers watched in silence. The humans had done what no one else could. They fought, they won, and they didn't hesitate. But not everyone felt safe. In a dark chamber, a group of Varnak leaders met in secret. Earth's people are dangerous. One said, They saved us. Another replied, Yes, the first leader said, but at what cost? In the corner, a younger advisor spoke softly. They didn't come to rule us. They came because we were dying, because no one else would. That silenced the room. Back on the battlefield, Vega sat near a burning enemy ship. Riker tossed her a water pack. We did what we came to do, he said. She nodded. First contact was messy, but the message is clear. And what message is that? She looked at the stars above. You call for help, we answer. But don't expect mercy. Behind them, a small alien child peeked out from rubble. Vega turned her head. The child stared, unblinking. Vega walked over and knelt down. She offered the water pack. The child took it with shaking hands. Stay low next time, Vega said. The enemy won't stop, and neither will we. The child nodded. Vega turned and walked, away into the smoke. The first encounter was over, but the war had just begun, and everyone and foe now understood one thing. Earth didn't send soldiers. It sent Deathworlders. The fires on Varnak 3 were starting to fade. Enemy forces had pulled back for now. The people had time to breathe, but fear still hung in the air like smoke. Governor Talik stood at the edge of the city, watching the ruins. Behind him, children played quietly, not laughing like before. Even the birds had left the trees. Why are they still here? Asked Counselor Marin. The enemy is retreating. The humans should go. Talik didn't answer right away. His eyes followed a human patrol as they passed through the rubble. Their armor was dusty, but their steps were firm, focused, unshaken. They're not like us, he said softly. Marin scoffed. They don't speak, they don't smile. What kind of people live like that? Talik turned to him. The kind that survive when others don't. Later that day, a group of young Varnak scientists requested a meeting with the human team. They had questions, serious questions. The request was sent to everyone's surprise. The humans agreed. University Hall, 6 humans sat silently at one side of a long table. The scientist on the other side looked nervous. The lead scientist, Dr. Risha, cleared her throat. We want to understand. What are you? What is a Deathworlder? Vega, the human leader, leaned forward slightly. You want answers? Risha nodded. Yes. The people of Varna 3 are grateful, but also afraid. We need to understand who you are. Vega removed her helmet. The scientists were surprised. Her face was not angry or cruel. It was calm, but tired. Her eyes looked older than her age. Earth, she said slowly, is not like your world. It is dangerous. Our skies burn. Our storms can rip cities apart. Our forests are filled with poison. Our oceans hold monsters. Dr. Risha blinked. Then, how do your people live? Vega's lips curved into a small smile. We adapt. We fight. We learn from pain. One of the younger scientists, a male named Jorik, leaned forward. But why are you so good at war? A second human, Riker, answered this time. Because on Earth we had war long before we looked at the stars. He tapped his armored chest. This isn't just protection. It's history. Every mark, every scar we earned it surviving our own planet. The scientists exchanged looks. You didn't build Deathworlders in a lab, Jorik said slowly. You were shaped by your world. Vega nodded. Exactly. We are the result of fire, loss, and time. Then she stood. She walked to a screen and tapped a button. Images appeared, photos and videos from Earth. Volcanoes exploding, tornadoes spinning through towns, massive animals, cities underwater, lightning storms that cracked the sky. The Varnock scientists gasped. This is real, one of them whispered. Yes, Vega said. This is home. Risha looked at the screen in silence. How many of you survived this kind of world? Vega's eyes narrowed. Enough. Outside the building, a group of Varnock children played with a human soldier. The children threw small stones into a broken fountain. The soldier watched, quiet but alert. One child asked him, "Are you really from the death world?" The soldier nodded. Is it scary? He didn't. Speak for a moment. Then he said, Sometimes. But it made us strong. Back inside, Talik entered the meeting room. Dr. Risha, he said, I want to show them something. He led the human team to a small underground vault. Inside were ancient Varnock record scrolls, images, old data screens. These last year, Talik explained, they are over 10,000 years old. From a time when we first looked at the stars, he pointed to a carved stone dot. It showed strange figures tall, armored beings standing in fire, creatures with human shapes, but surrounded by chaos. Vega stepped closer. Her face turned serious. These look like humans, he whispered. Talik nodded. That's why we were afraid. We thought you were just a myth, a warning. Riker frowned. What warning? Talik pointed at the last symbol on the stone of sun, blackened and cracked. The message says, when they return, the stars will burn again. Silence filled the room. Vega finally spoke. We didn't come to burn your stars. We came because you called. But the stories, Talik began. Stories are scared of what they don't understand, Vega said quietly, back at the human base. A new alert appeared on their scanners. Multiple enemy ships were moving in, again but slower, more carefully. They're watching us now, Riker said. Studying us, good Vega replied. Let them. That night, Vega recorded a message for Earth Command. Varnock 3 is holding. Locals are cautious but learning. They want to know who we are. She paused. They should be careful what they wish for. Outside, the sky was quiet. But everyone knew it wouldn't stay that way. One of the Varnock scientists wrote a report. Its title was simple. What are Deathworlders? The first sentence read, They are not monsters. They are what happens when a world refuses to be kind. That report spread quickly through Varnock, then to nearby systems. Leaders and warlords, allies and Animazal began whispering one word, Earth. Some saw hope, others saw fear, but all agreed on one thing. Deathworlders had returned to the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same. Far from Varnock Tree, deep in the cold emptiness between stars, a massive alien warship floated in silence. Inside its dark halls, the High Commander of the Zarn Empire stared at a screen filled with data. It showed red dots, blinking each 1A, lost ship, a dead squad, or a fallen officer. The commander's face twisted in rage. His black armor gleamed in the low light. A junior officer stepped forward. Sir, the Deathworlders have crushed 3 squads already. We lost 5 dropships. In Sector 9 alone, the High Commander growled. I told you Earth was dangerous. You laughed. Now your brothers are dead. The officer swallowed hard. What? What are your orders? The commander walked to a tall glass window. Stars twinkled in the distance, but his eyes were locked on one thing: Varna 3. I want their minds broken before we break their bones, he said coldly. No more direct attacks, no more charging in like fools. We will use fear now. He turned back to his officers. Begin the Shadow Protocol. Back on Varnic 3, the people were starting to rebuild. Children were smiling again. The skies were blue. But the humans stayed alert. Vega walked the edge of the city each morning, her armor always ready, her weapons always loaded. Riker joined her. Feels quiet, he said. Too quiet, she replied suddenly. Their radios cracked. Based a patrol report immediately. We've lost contact with the northern watchtower. Vega didn't speak. She just started running. When they reached the tower, it was empty. No signs of a fight, no bodies, no blood, just silence. A Varnic officer stood by the entrance, shaking. They were here, then gone. Vega crouched beside a dropped rifle. She picked it up slowly. Whoever did this, she said, wanted to scare us. That night, more towers went dark. In the west, a patrol vanished. In the south, the communication wires were cut by morning. Panic was rising again. Talek met with Vega. What's happening? Where are they? They're testing us, Vega said, watching how we react. Talek frowned. To do what? To find our weakness, she answered. The people of Varnic 3 began to whisper again. The humans had saved them once, but even they seemed unsure now. Was this the beginning of a second invasion? A message appeared on every screen across the colony. Black background, red letters. You should have stayed silent. Earth can't save you forever. Panic spread. People locked themselves indoors. Markets closed. Soldiers stood guard with trembling hands. Talek slammed his fist on the table. They're trying to break us without firing a shot. Riker nodded. Fear is the oldest weapon in the galaxy. In the human camp, Vega gathered her team. We need to draw them out, she said. They won't stop until we force their hand. One soldier, Ellis, stepped forward. I'll volunteer. I'll act as bait. Vega shook her head. Too risky. I've survived worse, he replied with a grin. The next day, Ellis moved alone into the shadowed forests beyond the city. He walked with a calm step, but his eyes scanned everything. Then he heard it. A whisper. Not in any language he knew. Just a sound. Like something breathing through metal. He turned, gun raised. Nothing he turned, Agnond. Saw them, 10 of them, black armor, long claws, eyes like fire. Ellis smiled. Took you long enough. He raised a small transmitter and pressed the button. She shouted back in the forest. Ellis fought hard, but he was outnumbered. He dropped 2 enemies with clean shots, dodged plasma fire, rolled behind a fallen tree, but they were closing in fast. Suddenly, dash explosions shook the trees. Voice rang out over the coms. We've got your back. The humans attacked with full force drones, snipers. They didn't hold back. The ambush turned into a trap for the enemy. One by one, the attackers fell. Vega stood over the last one, breathing hard. She pulled off the alien's mask. His mouth was cut in a strange grin. You are strong, he hissed. But this is just the beginning. Then he bit something in his mouth. His body exploded. No evidence, no intel, just ash dot. Later that night, Vega met with Talek again. They're using shadows now, she said. Fear, tricks, disappearing bodies, exploding captives. It's all meant to make us doubt ourselves. Talek sighed. Our people are scared again. Vega looked out the window. Then we have to remind them what we are. The next morning, the humans marched into the city square. They set up screens. They showed videos footage of Earth's worst places, lava fields, poison jungles, thunderstorms that shook cities, and then they showed training footage, humans running through fire, fighting in zero. Oxygen, wrestling beasts the size of trucks. Then, Vega stepped forward to speak. Her voice was comboed. It cut through the air like a blade. You are scared. That's normal. But remember, this we come from a world that wants us dead every day. And we're still here. She paused. We don't fear the shadows. We became Death Worlders because fear tried to break us. And failed, the people stood silent. Then slowly, one by one, they clapped. Varnac soldiers began painting their armor black, like the humans. Civilians formed defense groups. Engineers reinforced the city walls. Fear was still there, but now it had something else beside it. Fire. The enemy's plan had failed. And now the humans were planning their next move. They weren't waiting anymore. Now it was their turn to hunt. It began with a tremor. Just after midnight, the ground on Varnic 3 shook. Windows rattled. Lights flickered. The stars above pulsed red for a second, then went dark. Governor Talek stood in the command center, staring at the main screen. "What was that?" a Varnock technician replied with trembling hands. "Not an earthquake. Something's entering the upper atmosphere. Very large, very fast." The radar lit up like fire. 5 massive enemy ships had broken out of stealth mode, black shapes like floating fortresses. Each one was the size of a city. Talek's eyes widened. "They're not landing. They're burning straight toward us." The sky outside glowed red. Alarms screamed. People rushed into shelters, and the sky, once calm and blue, turned into a firestorm dot at the human base. Vega sprinted into the war room. Riker pointed to the screen. "They're skipping ground battle this time. They want to erase us from orbit." "They're desperate," Vega said coldly. "They know they can't beat us on the ground." "But we don't have space support," Ellis said. "No ships. No orbital cannons." Vega nodded. "Then we make them fight our way." She activated a portable transmitter. Razor Team, Shadow Team, Fireclaw Team, ready, plan ignition. On the other end, 3 human squads replied with the same word, confirmed. Vega turned to Talek, who had just entered the room. "They want fire in the sky," she asked. "Then we'll show them what Earth fire really looks like." Within the hour, Earth's Deathworlders were already in motion. Using Hidden Mountain launchers, they fired electromagnetic bombs straight into the upper atmosphere. These weren't weapons to destroy ships, they were weapons to blind them. All across the sky, lightning exploded. The enemy ships lost their scans, their sensors flickered, their communications died. One of the enemy captains screamed at his crew, "Where are the targets? I want visuals." But there were none, just red clouds and silence. Then the first surprise came. From the mountains, from the cliffs, from underground tunnels, dozens of drones shot up, each one carrying explosives. The drones weren't big, they didn't look like much, but they were fast, too fast. They hit the enemy ships in the engine, flanks places left exposed, because no one expected a ground assault from a planet under siege. The explosions were small at first, then they spread, like fire across dry wood. On the surface, people watched as one of the enemy ships began to tilt. Then dash boom dot, a blast echoed across the sky. The massive ship broke in half. Pieces rained down like burning steel rain. The people of Varnic 3 had never seen anything like it, Talek whispered. They'd just destroyed a ship from the ground. Vega didn't look away from the screen. That's what we call improvisation. But it wasn't over. The remaining enemy ships responded, fast-firing plasma beams across the land, hitting everything that moved. Forests caught fire, mountains cracked. Several Varnock outposts were vaporized instantly. Vega barked into her. "Come, initiate Red Hammer." 2 human teams emerged from hidden canyons, carrying shoulder-launched rockets designed to burn through starship armor. "Target acquired," whispered a soldier. "Let's light them up." 10 rockets fired at once, all aimed at the engines of the second enemy ship. Flames filled the sky again. Another ship fell sprawling, twisting, breaking apart like paper in the wind. The people in shelters could only watch through the screens. Children cried. Adults held their breath. One of the soldiers near the shelter turned to a crying child and said gently, "Look, that's not the enemy winning. That's us fighting back." But then came the twist. The third enemy ship didn't fall. It stopped, and then it opened. From its underbelly, a huge object dropped round, black, glowing. "What is that?" Riker asked. The object struck the ground. A shockwave spread in every direction, buildings shattered, trees exploded, and a strange wave of silence followed. All electronics shut down, radios, lights, screens, even the humans' helmets buzzed. "And died EMP weapon," Vega growled. "They're disabling everything." She ripped off her helmet and grabbed an old-style rifle from the emergency crate. "No tech. Fine. Then we fight like we used to." Humans switched to backup weapons knives, Bullets, flame charges, no shields, no drones, just pure survival. And from the smoke, enemy ground units began to drop. They were bigger than before, heavily armored. Some walked on two legs, others crawled. With claws, Talik's voice trembled. They're coming, through the fire. Vega loaded her rifle. So will we. The final battle of that night happened on open ground, just outside the capital. Humans and aliens charged at each other. Through burning fields, it was brutal. Hand to hand, blade to blade. Vega fought with her bare hands when her weapon broke. Blood covered her armor, hers and the enemy's. Riker took a hit to the leg, but kept fighting, dragging a wounded Varnock soldier behind cover. One enemy soldier cornered Ellis. Claws raised Donley to get smashed by a rock, not a gun. A rock. The people of Varna 3 saw everything, and something inside them changed. Civilians grabbed weapons. Old farmers picked up tools. Even children helped guide the injured to safety. They were done hiding. Fire burned above them, but inside they were burning to dot, burning with the will to fight by dawn. Only one enemy ship remained. It hovered weakly, sparks falling from its engines. Vega stood with blood on her face. She picked up a fallen alien weapon. Riker, she said, "Can you still walk?" "Barely." "Then help me aim this." The two of them locked onto the last ship. The weapon was alien tech. Unstable, it fired one shot, a spear of blue light. The final ship broke. Apart, above them, pieces fell into the sea. Silence followed, real. Silence. The fire in the sky was gone, and Earth's Deathworlders were still standing. Later, in the recovery tents, Talik visited Vega. "You were right," he said. "They wanted to burn us, but you set the fire first." Vega smiled faintly. "You're learning." Talik looked out at the scorched land, at the people helping each other. "Did we win?" he asked. Vega's voice was low. "No, not yet. But today, we made them bleed." Outside, the sky turned blue again, but in every heart across Varnock 3, the memory of red fire still burned. A fire started, not by machines, but by a small group of humans from the most dangerous world in the galaxy. And the war was far from over, because the Deathworlders were just getting started.